What's good, y'all? So this is a little bit different from the usual content that I like to do, but I'd say I'm a pretty heavy NBA watcher and enjoyer, and I'd like to say I got a pretty good grasp and decent opinions that I'd like to share about my favorite team, the Warriors. I know I probably get called a bandwagon, but I don't give a fuck. So the Warriors obviously have some things that they need to fix, or they would have been champions, and it all starts with the remaining time in free agency. They got two good acquisitions so far with Chris Paul and Corey Joe. A lot of people question it, but honestly, you can't go wrong with a talent like CP3. The way he's so crafty and the IQ is off the charts. And veteran guard like Corey Joe, who also has outstanding IQ and court awareness. I mean, the reason that I like this move, or these moves, because they were one of the worst teams when it came to turnovers. And opponents averaged 19.4 points per game off turnovers last season. And I mean, that's second worst behind only the Houston Rockets, if that tells you anything. So getting those two veteran guards who are both top 10 in the assist to turnover ratio, I'd say probably couldn't hurt. Another thing that they should probably try to target is a defending and rebounding big men to help Kevon and Draymond. They allow about 11 offensive rebounds per game, which is top 10 worst in the league. It doesn't matter how good your defense is if you can't finish out the possession with, a defensive rebound. I think in the remaining time of the offseason that they should target a center or a big man, someone to come off the bench, give all right center minutes. One of those guys that they should probably try to talk to is Mo Bamba. He's in the part of his career where he needs to prove himself. I mean, he's bounced around from the Lakers, Orlando. Obviously hasn't found a spot yet. Still super young with a ton of potential. He's questionable, but I'd say it probably wouldn't hurt just to have a big body like that in the paint. Another one, obviously everyone's seen it in all different articles about how the Warriors are targeting Dario Saric. And, he's probably the smartest player to go get. He fits with the system. He can space the floor. He's willing to sign here. With him spacing the floor, it'd be so open for Chris Paul and Steph Curry to go and do their work. He provides solid defense. I know he's coming off an ACL tear, but I think he's had enough time to where it shouldn't be affecting him too much. And if he were to sign, he would be the only player currently above 6'9" on the roster. Big men. There's three long shots that, might work. Also, it's just about getting them to sign. The first being Christian Wood. If they could convince him to sign to a 1-year minimum to potentially win a championship. Otherwise, the Warriors likely wouldn't have the money. It's very out there, I will admit, but Christian Wood could be a great part of the Warriors system. He's a great shooter, scorer from the center position. And, the only thing he lacks is defense, which is something I think we're middle of the pack with our paint defense. So, just another big body in there, I guess, couldn't hurt. But, with Draymond, Gary Payton II, Wiggs, he should be fine. And Kevon. Insane paint presence. And then this guy, I doubt that they're going to offer him a contract, but this one probably makes the most sense out of the three that I'm putting out there, and it's DeMarcus Cousins. Obviously, he's played for them before. Some people might say he's past his prime, but he's obviously past his prime, but he's only 32 years old. He still has a lot left, I'd say. He could probably still play till he's 37, so he's got 5 years left minimum. He knows the system, and he's a good, versatile, big body. And Chris Paul would be able to run the second unit with DeMarcus, which honestly doesn't sound bad at all. Also, a new one just got cut by the Magic. Would be Bobo. He just got cut by the Magic. He's a tall center with raw potential. He does tend to make bonehead plays, but he's still young. He's raw. Insane potential. And I think with him, with Dre, Clay, and Steph, possibly could turn him into a key piece. And I mean, honestly, the biggest thing is obviously his height and his wingspan, just having another big body out there. Second thing that the Warriors will have to do to win the championship falls completely on Steve Kerr. He needs to prove again why he is considered one of the top coaches in the league. And I mean, one of the big things he needs to do is play the young guys at the beginning of the season, get them reps, get them ready. Because someone like Moses Moody, he didn't get a whole lot of playing time throughout the season. But come playoff time, he got one shot, and I mean, he made it count. He earned minutes in that Lakers series, and I mean, he made a difference. Probably would have lost in 4 or maybe even 5. But I mean, he did make a difference. Kuminga didn't. I mean, he's barely even gotten a chance. I thought he was showing himself like what he could do throughout the season, but Steve Kerr just completely cut off his minutes. I don't know if it was something off the court or what, but he could have definitely helped as a bigger defender out there while like the Kings were scoring a bunch on us. I mean, just having someone out there to guard De'Aaron Fox, someone big, a wing with a long wingspan that's mobile. But obviously, that's not what Steve Kerr saw. Also, on top of that, they just drafted 2 guys that are NBA ready with Trayce Jackson-Davis, who played 4 years at college. And, I mean, he was one of the best college players in the game. And then Brandon Podziemski, don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but, I mean, they both looked amazing despite where they were picked. But the big thing is Steve Kerr he needs to be ready to experiment with these different lineups, especially with Corey Joseph and Chris Paul coming into the picture, along with the 2 rookies. And now any other, I think they have 3 roster spots right now. Anyone else who they were to sign, that he needs to experiment. Because I don't think he experimented a whole lot with JaMychal Green. It was just, you're going to run with the bench unit. I don't remember seeing him run a whole lot with Steph Curry or someone like that. And then come playoff time, he started and had one of his best games of the entire season, if not the best game. But the final thing that they need to be able to do to win this chip is they need to be willing to make roster changes through the year. We've seen that they don't really like making big-time moves at the deadline, but honestly, the roster isn't working. There's no point of keeping players around. If they want to get a championship with the core, which seems like that is what they want to do, after trading away Jordan Poole for someone who maybe has 2 seasons left. But they traded Jordan Poole for someone who's hungry to win a chip, which makes me think that, I mean, they're putting everything they can into this very last run. This last run to get them their 5th. But they need to, on top of making trades, they need to take advantage of the buyout market. Like last year, I was so upset at the deadline when we needed center play. Center play bad. And they didn't. They would not sign another guy. I mean, Serge Ibaka was out there. I mean, he was smart enough to catch on to the Warriors system. He could shoot. He might be out of his Serge Ibaka phase, but he's still a good defender. He's got the IQ. And he would be someone to give Kevon a rest. And instead of taking a shot on a guy that definitely could have helped, they decided to stick with their roster. And at that time, I'm pretty sure they were a play-in team and inevitably lost in the second round. So, I mean, those are the big 3 things that they need to do, and that's the recipe for another championship. And number 5 for the core guys. But if you want to see more like this, just let me know, and peace.